event, everyone is reminded to observe the following house rules. Everyone is expected to keep their audio on mute and put your questions or issues that you want to raise in the comment section and kindly wait for the host to acknowledge your concerns. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Sparta mini conference Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics will now begin. To formally start our event today, let us put ourselves in the loving presence of the Lord as we start with an opening prayer to be led by Carl Lewis Cruz, the data analyst of Project Sparta, to be followed by the singing of the Philippine national anthem.
Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity to bring us together today. As we celebrate the last day of the International Women's Month, we give our gratitude to you for protecting all the important women in our lives. May you guide our participants, speakers, and organizers in helping build a future ready Philippines that is safe, fair, and inclusive. Eternal Father, bless this conference today, all those who are present, as well as the lives of those who we will encounter afterwards. Our Father, we also ask you to give us wisdom and courage to fulfill your will. These we all ask in your most holy and mighty name. Amen.
Kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, kaya sa sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bangaw, ay natang tulakaw, isang pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iibig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig, lumalang araw ng waray, ipagsinta, ay langit sa piling mo, ang inigaya na pagkay magamin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics with our host, Ms. Roxy Makasait, our Marketing and Promotions Component Lead of the Project Sparta.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics mini conference. This event is organized by Project Sparta in celebration of Women's Month. On behalf of Project Sparta, I would like to welcome everyone who was able to join us via Zoom, and an equally warm welcome to those who are watching us through Facebook and the YouTube live stream. Our program today is filled with amazing and powerful women, and today we will highlight those who are trailblazing in the field of data science and analytics. To officially welcome us to today's virtual event, may I call on the Senior Vice President and Dean of the Graduate School of Public and Development Management of the Development Academy of the Philippines. She also holds both Doctor of Public Administration and Master of Public Administration degrees from the University of the Philippines National College of Public Administration and Governance. She finished her Bachelor of Science in Mass Communication, majoring in Public Relations from the University of Negros Occidental Recoletos with cum laude honor. She is the president of the Philippine Society for Public Administration and she also teaches on the graduate level at UP NCPAG, the University of Makati's College of Governance and Public Policy, and the Graduate School of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines main campus. Our speaker is also the founder and associate editor of the Philippine Governance Digest. Which has been expanded to PGD Online Bulletin. She is also involved in a number of local and international development projects and a member of the American Society for Public Administration and Asian Association of Public Administration. Wow, what an introduction, right? So ladies and gentlemen, may we give our warmest welcome to Dr. Lizanne E. Perante Calina.
Thank you so much, Roxy, for that very kind introduction. My greetings to Ms. Sandra Montano, Chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, Ms. Stephanie C., Founder and CEO, Thinking Machines Data, Yusak Rafaelita Aldaba, Undersecretary, Competitiveness and Innovation Group, Department of Trade and Industry, Dr. Rochelle Ann Wayong, Assistant Professor, Service Science and Software Engineering Laboratory, University of the Philippines, Attorney Josel Batapa Sige, Co-Founder, National ICT Confederation of the Philippines, and Dr. Ruby Retorta, Chief Human Resources and Institution Development Division of DOST Pressured. My fellow women leaders in both public and private sector, and to all the men, hirayang hapon po sa inyo lahat, and happy National Women's Month. It is my utmost pleasure to officially open and welcome all of you to hashtag Game Change Hers. Spanning the entirety of March, we cannot possibly conclude our work for the National Women's Month without engaging with the history, the state of, and the opportunities for and the features of women in science and technology. With the sub-theme Making Change Work for Women through Data Science and Analytics, SPARTA and its partners aim to contribute to the practice of bringing to the fore the vast expanse of women's contribution and participation in technological innovation. However, in today's conversation, we likewise aim to go beyond the mere acknowledgement and promotion of technical achievements credited to women innovators. What we mean to do is forward a developmental framework that takes from the legacies of women liberation and empowerment and goes beyond it. In the same vein, that frameworks built upon notions of equity emerged from the gaps arising from the pursuit of, say, gender equality. So too has what we call a gender and development approach emerged from the project of women empowerment and therefore breathe our notions of equity. The context in which we speak from is one where today women increasingly occupy positions of power, prestige, and influence. Likewise, we see more and more women engaged in the production of knowledge than ever before. It is a point in history where the contributions of the suffragists of the likes of Marie Curie and Ada Lovelace and of Melchora Aquino and Dr. Fed Del Mundo are well embedded in mainstream consciousness and contemporary organizations such as Women in Technology articulate their mission and vision as empowering girls and women to excel from the classroom to the boardroom. The landmark 1975 World Conference of the International Women's Year in Mexico City and the United Nations Decade for Women in 1976 to 1985 marked the height of the now old framework that championed bringing women into development. The idea was that women had a valuable contribution to make further economic development. And now we are in a world of turbulence. We had witnessed several crises and disasters, such as violent storms like Yolanda in 2013 in our own country. There are also other problems that triggered by surprising, inconsistent, unpredictable, and uncertain events. The trouble is that we cannot just stand and do nothing about it. COVID-19 proved that we have to do something, and we realized that because of turbulence in the global environment, the best practices we had were swept away. This is undeniable, for we have been witnesses ourselves of existential risks. The acceleration of the acceleration, massive flooding induced by global warming, a global financial crisis, and more recently, pandemics like COVID 19. In the future, turbulent events will return in a form we cannot yet imagine. So, what are the implications of these leadership and women empowerment? The empowered women are those who assert their personal identities to lead in our sector. To lead means to reinvent ourselves on several dimensions to enhance the capacity for designing solutions to turbulent problems. Second, women at all levels will have to learn to operate in uncertain and unpredictable circumstances and attempt to solve problems under pressure. And third, we must lead horizontal collaboration between professional groups, organizations, and sectors, allowing the problem or task to set the team rather than asking which part of the organization should run with it. And finally, we must step up our communication skills. People look to public authorities for credible advice in turbulent times. The communication of robust governance strategies requires clear communication about societal risks. Today, we have the same opportunity to ask questions that pertains to science and technology. More than just reiterating the tired platitudes of enjoining women to integrate in our fields, we might ask questions like, are men and women, people of different races, ages, or indigenous groups differently impacted by the growing application of data, science, and analytics? We know that technology is used by, is accessed by, and is applied to different people differently. Foundational to data science is that we have vast quantities of data we have collected on scales unseen before. And with sophisticated computer-driven technology, we make assumptions, predictions, and policy decisions at large scales. To truly work towards more just systems, we must be brave enough to take a critical approach to the assumptions. We should be vigilant of the unintended, invisible consequences of unfettered technological acceleration. In the same manner in which we saw unfettered economic development secretly impact vulnerable groups differently, so we must take upon the radical approach to making our technological and methodological advances work for us justly. So therefore, in the face of the social and economic disruption caused by turbulent problems, it is not enough to activate a predefined emergency management plan. The standard repertoire of foresight, protection, and resilience strategies can no longer be relied on. What is demanded are new behaviors, practices, if not mindsets. What are these new behaviors which we women need to inculcate in our mind and translate into permanent behavior patterns? Well, these behaviors or new mindsets are cross-sector collaboration, technological innovation, and the development of new governance strategies that take advantage of emerging options and opportunities. So with that, I stand with you today as a woman leader and committed game changer. Maraming salamat, Hiraya Manawari.
Thank you, Dean Lizan. From one powerful woman to another, our next speaker will tell us more about the theme of this year's National Women's Month, which is also the basis of our theme for this mini conference, and the efforts that the government has put forth for women. Allow me to introduce to you our keynote speaker. She is the first ASEAN woman leader in ASEAN Business Investment Summit in Myanmar of 2014. Her altruistic efforts to empower women on food security and sustainable livelihood through tropical food manufacturing were recognized by ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Network, awarding her Outstanding ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Network 2015 in Hanoi, Vietnam. her valuable contribution to society in MSME inclusive growth as part of APEC Global Value Chain, and her outstanding work performance in occupational safety and health made her on the list of awardees among the 100 most influential Filipino women in the world, 2016, by the Filipina Women Network, a woman-led organization based in San Francisco, USA. With all her life's work, she was chosen to represent the Philippines in the APEC Best Top Manager Awards during the APEC Summit in La Serena, Chile in 2019. Her passion to educate and empower people to save lives ignited her resolve and founded Community Health Education Emergency Rescue Services Foundation, and years after Cheers Academy, a social enterprise put up to meet the challenge of better equipping communities in the occurrence of disasters, calamities, and this global pandemic. Her family, the Montano family, was honored and awarded during the 2019 Jollibee Family Values Awards. For those that are unfamiliar, the Jollibee Awards gives honor to deserving families who exemplify positive Filipino family values such as generosity, compassion, love for the community, love for the environment, while also providing selfless service to the community towards nation building. She is the focal point person to APEC Policy Partnership on Women and the Economy. She is permanent representative to United Nations Women, UNCSW, the head of delegation in ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on Women, among other positions, a health and safety practitioner, and a proud farmer's daughter. Our champion on gender equality, she says, beside a successful man is an empowered woman. Her life motto, women are powerful beyond measure and beautiful beyond pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the greatest honor to welcome the chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women, Ms. Sandra Sanchez Montano, to be represented today by the Deputy Executive Director for Management Services, Ms. Cecil B. Gutierrez.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at sa ating mga representatives from Development Academy of the Philippines. I would like to extend the apologies of our chairperson, Chairperson Sandra Sanchez Montano, kasi meron lang pong commitment siya na hindi mahindian po, conflict po sa schedule. So I hope I'm going to read her message. So ang messaging naman ng Philippine Commission on Women, of course, mas maganda sana kung nandito si chairperson, pero please allow me to read her message to this conference. So I would like to extend our greetings of gender equality and women's empowerment. As Ms. Roxy said and introduced me, I am the Deputy Director for Management Services of the Philippine Commission on Women. And I would like to present to the Smarter Philippines through Data Analytics Research and Development, Training and Adoption, or SPARTA for short, mini conference today. When we hear the words engineer, mathematician, scientist, inventor, what is the image that comes to mind? Is it a woman or a man? If it is a man, this may be because of the reality that women are still underrepresented in many careers related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So ang tawag po natin dyan, gender stereotyping. According to the UNESCO's 2017 report, quote-unquote, Cracking the Code, Girls and Women's Education in Science, Technology, Engineering, women comprise only 35% in the fields of STEM, or Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, in terms of higher education worldwide. In a 2021 UNESCO Science Report, it appears that women remain a minority, talagang minority pa ha, in digital information technology, computing, physics, mathematics, and engineering. In the Philippines, there is good and bad news when it comes to the numbers of women in STEM. According to a 2021 report of the Philippine Statistics Authority, for medical and allied disciplines, there are more women enrolled, amounting to over 33,000 compared to only 11,000 plus for men. But the gender gap is still existing in engineering and technology, with only 27,000 women enrolled compared to 59,000 men, so more than 100% gap. No? Recently, PCW partnered with Unilab Foundation Incorporated and launched the Pinay's Can STEM digital toolkit to encourage girls aged 15 to 20 to pursue careers in STEM where there is still a huge gender gap. I am proud to share that it can be considered a powerful instrument to encourage young Juanas to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and prove that gender is never a limitation in reaching for your dreams. The digital toolkit can also help address gender gaps existing in STEM, as discussed in the updated Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Plan 2019 to 2025. The GWE Plan 2019 to 2025 highlights the intersectionality between gender equality and STEM. The plan seeks to address two key gender equality issues. First, women and girls are not sufficiently benefiting from advances in science, technology, and innovation, and information and communications technology. Second, there is limited participation of women in higher level technical and leadership positions in STI and ICT. The first issue was exacerbated during the pandemic. The health crisis caused the governments to rely on the so-called fourth industrial revolution technologies, including artificial intelligence or AI, robotics, the Internet of Things or IoT, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other technologies. Hence, the Juanas must be able to step up in STEM so they can utilize these technologies. Case in point, if we can harness the power of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, innovations can help drive women's enterprises. For one, the Department of Science and Technology has its small enterprise technology upgrading program, or set up as acronym, which assists micro, small, and medium enterprises or MSMEs to adopt technological innovations to improve their products, services, operations, and increase their productivity and competitiveness. Improving women's access to STEM advances and products can also improve their way of life. Agencies and private institutions can work on the strategic use of the technology to address women's access to social and financial services. Under the GWE plan, another good indicator will be increasing the STI startup enterprises owned by women, as well as those who are involved in internet retail trade or e-commerce. Then there's the issue of the limited participation of women in science, technology, and innovation, as well as in higher level technical and leadership positions in the sector. There may be different factors that hamper women from engaging in data science and analytics careers. One will be gender stereotypes, of course. These two fields are often viewed as masculine. Some adult figures, including teachers and parents, may underestimate girls' math abilities starting as early as preschool. Another reason will be the overrepresentation of men in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This leads to notions that these fields seem to perpetuate male-dominated cultures that are not supportive nor attractive to women. Next, they are not aware or exposed to a lot of role models, seeing limited examples of female scientists in books, media, and popular culture. Hence, the stories in the Pinay STEM, quote unquote, can really help in introducing models to emulate and take inspiration from. However, despite the challenges, women thrive in other STEM aspects. Based on a DOST survey done in 2018, women are well represented in the scientific research and development in government and higher educational institutions, both public and private, at 58%. This is higher than the world average of about 30% in 2017. When it comes to enrollment in STEM courses, PSA data as of February 2020 show that it is 43% female, relatively a good representation, and could be traced to scholarship programs that encourage female students to go into the STEM fields of study. The PCW firmly believes that addressing the gender disparity in STEM can benefit not just the Juanas, but the whole country, especially in a post-pandemic backdrop. STEM careers are often referred to as the jobs of the future. If women have equal opportunities to thrive in STEM careers with higher pay and better benefits, this can help narrow the gender pay gap and enhance the Juanas' economic security. A typical STEM earns more than those employed in other fields. But some of the highest earning STEM occupations, such as computer science and engineering, women are low in numbers. But little by little, attitudes have been evolving, with studies linking investor confidence and greater profit margins to a diverse workforce. Hence the need for more women in STEM-related industries. A Forbes article states, diverse teams produce better outcomes. This is because of the presence of alternative perspectives, which more often than not lead to the optimal solution. Thus, in STEM fields where innovation is key, gender diversity can propel new breakthroughs, deeper research, and fresh perspectives. Advancing gender equality can also benefit research in general. A more representative workforce leads to more voices being heard and problems being targeted from a variety of angles. by encouraging inclusivity and supporting girls who want to pursue STEM, we open pathways and opportunities for greater innovation and scientific success in the long run. Representation is also essential to the future of innovation. It must be noted that many early inventions were designed for men, leaving the needs and concerns of women who comprise half of the world's population. For example, some personal protective equipment like seat belts, knee pads, eye and ear protection are not suited for women. Hence, closing the STEM gender gap can ensure that innovation will not exclude half of the population. Innovation that better represents the needs of society. Empowering women in STEM and other fields can drive the country in achieving different goals, including food security, ending poverty, ensuring health, and reducing inequalities. The UN Women reports that, quote unquote, when more women work, economies grow. Women's economic empowerment improves productivity, increases economic diversification, and income equality. Boosting the educational attainment of women and girls, including in STEM paths, also contribute to women's economic empowerment and more inclusive economic growth. Education and upskilling in order to keep up with technological and digital transformations are critical for women's and girls' health and well-being, as well as their income generation opportunities. Women's economic equality is good for business. Companies greatly benefit from increasing employment and leadership opportunities for women, which is shown to increase organizational effectiveness and growth. It is estimated that companies with 3 or more women in senior management functions score higher in all dimensions of organizational performance, as mentioned in McKinsey and Company's article, quote unquote, Women Matter, Time to Accelerate, 10 Years of Insights into Gender Diversity. These contributions of women in the economy can be highlighted while the country still reels from the pandemic. In a brief by the Asian Development Bank article entitled COVID-19 is, again, quote unquote, no excuse to regress on gender equality. It was shown that, quote unquote, STEM jobs and professional work have fared relatively well during the COVID-19 crisis due to their suitability to remote work. Hence, if women have greater STEM opportunities, they can opt to work remotely while earning adequately and taking care of their families. Going back to the updated GWI Plan 2019 to 2025, the PCW highlights that there are several actions that can be taken in enhancing the role of women and their benefiting from developments in the STI and ICT sectors, including, first, support for early career researchers and women researchers who are among those that have been severely affected by the disruptions caused by the crisis. Second, technology and innovation support for MSMEs and entrepreneurs affected by the COVID-19 crisis. The third one, investing in the diffusion of digital technologies to help companies deal with confinement measures. And the fourth one, support to build the agility of the STI country system by providing grant extensions to innovators affected by COVID-19. In conclusion, in a COVID-19 world and beyond, the PCW will continue to rally behind every Juana dreaming of pursuing and excelling in STEM. We look forward to a gender-responsive society where women benefit from and contribute to the important fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Let's prove all together that Pinays or Juanas can STEM. Juanas can inform, inspire, and empower. Thank you very much to TAP SPARTA for inviting PCW. Happy Women's Month. This is the last day of the Women's Month. So parang pagandang closing natin ito, Miss Roxy. And let's continue making change work for women. It is my pleasure to spend this afternoon with all of you. Thank you very much. At mabuhay kayong lahat.
And Adoption SPARTA Mini Conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics, held on 31st of March 2022 via Zoom Communications, signed by Dr. Alan S. Cajes, the Vice President and SPARTA Project Lead, the Development Academy of the Philippines. Again, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Roxy and Dr. Cajes, tama ba? Dr.
Yes,
Cajes.
correct po.
Okay, I am honored to accept this certificate of appreciation on behalf of our chairperson, Ms. Sandra Sanchez Montano. And looking forward to next year, meron kayo ulit project, Ms. Roxy?
We hope so. This is actually our third year, but
okay.
Let's see what will happen.
Thank you again.
So to introduce our speakers for today, we will get the help of another powerful woman. You will hear this word powerful all throughout this afternoon because there are truly no other way to describe these women that are joining us today. She is a catalyst for jobs and opportunities in the countryside and is an advocate for information and communication technology. In 2016, she was named as one of the outstanding women in nation service, a Towns awardee in the field of ICT. In 2008, she co-founded the National ICT Confederation of the Philippines, also known as NICP, an umbrella organization of all ICT councils in the country. In 2007, she led the creation of the Bacolod Negros Occidental Federation for ICT, Benefit, which worked on the successful inclusion of Bacolod as one of the 6 centers of excellence in ICT business process management and Tholan's International Top 100 cities in the world for ICT locations. In 2014, she was named as Philippine Individual Contributor of the Year during the International ICT Awards given by the Canadian Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Philippines. Currently, she is a certified Go Negosyo coach and mentor on the topics of digitalization for MSMEs under the Department of Trade and Industry. And she's also a technical consultant for the Digital Cities program of the Department of Information and Communications Technology. She has been professor of law since 1998 at the University of St. La Salle, Bacolod, where she earned her Juris Doctor degree in 1997. May I call on Attorney Giselle Bata Pasige.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Roxy. Good afternoon to everyone joining us right now over Zoom and watching us via Facebook Live. Happy National Women's Month to everyone. It is my pleasure to serve as your moderator for this afternoon. Our first speaker will talk about women and data science and analytics in the private and business sectors. Our first speaker is currently the president of the Analytics Association of the Philippines, where she is also the co-chair for industry development. She is also the president and managing director of Z-Lift Solutions Incorporated and is a lecturer at the University of the Philippines, and she is one of the subject matter experts of Project SPARTA. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Michelle Alarcon.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Michelle.
Hi there. So, maraming salamat po sa pag-imbita sa akin. I just have a few messages to share with everyone who's joining us today via Zoom and also via Facebook. It's my honor, just like last year. Salamat po sa imbitang muli sa amin sa AAP. I wanted to just share a few messages with everyone based on my own experience working in the data science and analytics industry. So I have already shared my deck, right? Okay, thank you. If everyone can see it. Okay. I was thinking about the title for this talk and I thought, put it in a sort of a hopefully positive spin, no? It may sound like a unique story to most of you, but hopefully I can change your minds in considering that maybe it doesn't need to be a unique story. So how I got into the data science and analytics industry is actually what makes it a unique story, no? At least at the start, considering that I'm from Gen X, revealing my age. Yes, I have already accepted that. And my generation, growing up, it was not necessarily this, thriving community of women leaders and not just in STEM, right, but anywhere else, even in the government. But it is unique because I find myself growing up and taking up STEM in high school, very, very much interested in science and technology, particularly computer science. And I find out in our records, yes, I went back to some of our contacts in school just to make sure, just to double check, that, and I find out that more than half of our batch, in fact, were female. So this is a very specialized science high school, and yet, already during that time, sige, sasabihin ko na po, late 80s po yan, marami ng babaeng nagiging interesado, no, sa STEM, taking up STEM in high school. And then I took up Bachelor of Science in Statistics at the University of the Philippines. And even more females, no, even a bigger slice nung ating gender pie, no, yung distribution ng females. There were 68%, and also looking at those enrolled right now at the Professional Master in Data Science, at least those taking up my course where I teach, it's also half or more than half, no, for the past 3 semesters. And then when I started in 2013, my consulting firm for analytics, which is Z-Lift Solutions. In fact, it's not, because I was the one selecting the consultants, but really, it tends to be that I get more female employees in the team and practicing analytics consultancy for our clients. No? It's I'm not doing a reverse discrimination in my company. It's really, just based on qualifications and competencies. Apparently, these are the stats. And then also, there is this open source community that we call the R Users Group of the Philippines, which started also in 2013. This is a tech community that is really more a group of volunteers and organizing knowledge sharing sessions on how to use open source language R for analytics and data science work, sharing tips and tricks and all that. And we find also in the database that there's in fact a good size then, no, of number of females attending, so more active attending, and also those registered as members in this community. So I don't know really if it was just luck that I have this, a mostly female, sometimes a female dominated pana environments when I was starting out and getting into STEM and learning analytics and data science. Maybe it was also my personal background is that I grew up in a family with 5 sisters, no brothers. So you can imagine how noisy that household is, right? But it's really all female, and everyone is just as motivated as anyone can be in school, at home, and sharing the same opportunities as our maybe our cousins, and then also our friends. And we didn't really have any bias to speak of now when it comes to um, um, having that equal share of opportunities when it comes to careers, being favorites, for example, of our teachers, and so on. So nothing like that. So I feel that maybe some of us think that this is unique just to me because my background is such. But then I wanted to dig deeper into that and really, really see how else I can, maybe how I can help spread the message that gender should not be an issue, not just in the data science and analytics space, but in general, right? So I share this picture with you, since this was just a recent announcement at the AAP, where I was recently elected as the president starting this March 2022. And if you look at the picture just at one glance, you'll see there's just two of us women there, right? And in the past board, in fact, I was the only female, but it never really mattered, no. I also was one of the co-founders of AAP, and there were 8, 9 of us back then, and there were also just 2 females, no, as part of the board that started the AAP. It up to this day, you don't feel that there is any bias that's happening when we're talking to our partner organizations, in terms of crafting our roadmap for analytics and AI. There's really no it is a non-issue. And I show this picture. You need to have a visual because these are the I'd like to also acknowledge that these are the colleagues. These are my colleagues at the AAP, and they are, in fact, parang we have to give credit also to what we call our male allies, no? Those who help empower women as well. So it's not just ourselves, no, yung mga kapwa nating babae na asahan natin na who will propel us to move forward and towards being successful. But in fact, we also give importance and give credit to our male allies, no, and just really concrete examples na yun pong ating board sa AAP. And speaking of which, no, at the AAP, a very important project that we did that's also related to our topic today is when we partnered with the Philippine Business for Education, Australian Aid, and A Future That Works, and as developed by Serolytics Research, we came out with the Philippine Data Analytics Sector Labor Market Intelligence Report, so the first of its kind for the Philippines. And here I highlight that one of the findings there is that to further develop the analytics talent in the Philippines, number one is, in fact, we need to encourage more women to take up analytics. So I have the link here to the report that I hope that you can download it. It's a quick search on the internet, and feel free to download po, no, it is free. And I mentioned this because at the AAP, we do not, this is really a non-issue, but when we talk to the employer side, no? So yun pong may demand for analytics and data science. And then when we also talk to the practitioners themselves who are in this particular space, we also talk to the academic sector who are providing the sort of the supply of analytics talent. There seems to be this commonly perceived na parang observation po natin, no? Although there is a good number of women taking up data science and analytics as the career, we see them around. You know, you look at LinkedIn, and many of them are also women posting about it. We still need to encourage some more, no? Because particularly we know for a fact, and not just in the data science and analytics space, that many women are also missing out on job opportunities in general, because they are, you know, with this work from home situation during this pandemic. Nauuna po talaga, we tend to prioritize the need to take care of our children and take care of our homes, right? So meron pong ganun ding nangyaring change, you know, during this pandemic. So what we are looking at is may not necessarily be a unique scenario during the pandemic, but eventually when there is a return to normal, a return to what is normal before, then this may persist, and therefore we'd like to drum up the awareness on the ability of women, even if they are taking care of their families at home, pwede pa rin pong magtrabaho, no, in this particular industry now that everything is also digital, and we're all working in a virtual work environment. So this is one of those studies that the AAP will definitely be continuing to monitor. Kamusta na po ba yung growth of women and the gender diversity in general in this particular industry? And that's something that we would like to communicate and promote, no, every time po we have these types of events. Well, hopefully, as was mentioned earlier, hindi lang po isang buwan na we celebrate the women's contribution po. And then I wanted also to share something that I felt at a personal level was parang something I needed to do, no? At the AAP kasi I started working with these great colleagues of mine in 2017, in fact 2018. And then it was only in 2020 that I found another calling, so still in the data science and analytics space. And I share with you an organization, in case you haven't heard of it, it's called For the Women Foundation. So this is a nonprofit organization that provides free scholarship on data science to underprivileged women. So ano po yan, no? Parang very targeted po yung market natin. Of course, there is Project SPARTA with the different pathways and then open to everyone. And then in a short 14-week program po, we are looking to grant these scholarships sa mga babae po na feeling nila ay hindi na nila kayang mag-upskill on their own, no? So bibigyan po natin sila ng konting tulong to pursue this track, no? And as you can see, it's all women, and there's been 5 batches already na naka-graduate, and that's equivalent to around I think around 150, no, scholars po na napag-graduate ng FTW Foundation. And working with these wonderful women that have all the potential to start their careers in the data science space, we also find that yung psyche po, no, nung babae, ano yung nagiging blockers natin? Why do we hesitate, or why do some women tend to hesitate, no, taking up this career path? And as we heard earlier, it's more around their insecurities na, ay hindi kasi kami marunong mag-code, ay hindi kasi kami STEM, no, or wala akong tendency talaga naturally in me to be tech savvy, right? So we let me show you the data science and analytics competencies na we use no for the professional maturity model ng AAP to craft those career paths that you are familiar with in Project Sparta. So these are the 10 general sets of competencies, and I want this to ano po, objectively speaking, tignan po natin, no? Lahat ng nasa audience, babae man tayo or hindi, if you look at all these competencies, where do you think ang mga competencies po na dehado ang babae? Meron po ba kayong nakikita? Okay. Mahirap sumagot kapag 200 people, no? Pero ang gusto ko pong ipakita dito is that all these competencies, pareho po tayo ng chances and opportunities na pag-aralan po sila, no? Regardless of our gender. And in fact, and I remove now the logo of AAP here because we find out as we work with these women scholars, there are perceived limits. Ano pong ibig sabihin nun? Nasa pag-iisip lang po natin yung we feel are the limitations natin, ano? And these are these two things that I highlight here. So that's around data engineering and computing. Yung kaninang sinasabi na, oh, hindi ako magaling mag-program kasi that's a male-dominated practice or industry, and I hesitated to enroll in that course before because it was puro lalaki or parang I think hindi yan natural sa akin, no? Because I am a woman. Ito po yung nakita natin na during the programs that we have run for how many batches already at for the Women Foundation. These were just perceptions. Hindi po ito yung katotohanan. Ito lang yung iniisip natin. So what are the true limits? What are the true limits? Maybe you'd be curious to know ano po yung nakita natin na limitation ng babae pagdating sa data science and analytics competencies. Any guess? Again, mahirap po magtanong kapag 200 people, but you can feel free to chat and share, your own maybe insights and all that. But I wanted to just update this slide and tignan po natin. What are the observed limits of women? Among these competencies, wala po. Except one thing that is actually not in this list. Okay. Pareho po tayo, no? There are no limits to learning data visualization. There are no limits in learning statistical techniques. Wala pong wiring na tinatawag na, okay, I am a woman and therefore I am, I don't know, left-brained or more right-brained or what. Nasa sa atin pa lang po yun. It's just a perception. But what we have found out to be the limit, maybe here, no, we were trying to dig deeper, and maybe here it's under 21st century skills. So let me show you what that list looks like. 21st century skills, according to APEC project there, no, that we adapted the AAP. Ito po yan, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity and attitude, and so on and so forth. Okay. Alin po dito ang 21st century skill, no? Alin po dyan ang dehado ang mga babae? Ano yung kulang tayo? Again, hindi po natin nakita na may limitasyon yung babae sa mga ito. Pwedeng kanya-kanya, based on our own experiences, we say that, some women are harder to work with than others. But that's also true for men, right? Collaboration, hindi po yan. In fact, may sisterhood nga tayong tinatawag, di ba, sa trabaho. So what we have found out to be the limit, really, again, it's just perception. And it's really confidence, no? Confidence. But when we overcome that, it's really a matter of having people who support you, to surround you, who support you that, okay, you can do this. And that's not necessarily just a group of women who needs to cheer you on. It can be a group of men. It can be a mix, right? Hindi po, again, it's a non-issue. As long as there are people who will rally you on and support what you want to do and then how you want to take your career forward. So I'd like to just end with this because I hope that you see that it's not anymore a unique story. And growing up, I felt that I had enough role models, so that I know that, okay, if that woman leader was able to do what she was able to accomplish without any barriers, I feel that I can do it. And it's also, working with our male allies who will tell us that, okay, you're good at these things. I support you. We support you, and therefore, you can be one of these people who can take this forward and lead future women leaders as well. So if we realize ourselves that it is not, there's no excuse. Basically, there's no excuse. There may be, it's just in our minds that we put our limits, we put these limits on ourselves. Then I hope that you also have that future looking na vision, no, na path, wherein we see that if we don't do it for ourselves, there won't be enough female role models out there in this industry. So, ano na po yung, anong estado nun, no? So, we would like to encourage more women to be in this industry where it is really a very, parang fair game for everyone. And there are many role models out there, and it's really a matter of breaking that bias in our own minds, and not in your environment. It is within us. So I hope that with that in mind, I hope you get encouraged, and not just during this International Women's Month, but moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, especially for all that encouragement. And I think it was such a great talk for all the people that are tuned in today. So it's such a pleasure to have you join us again this year for our mini conference. And congratulations on your posting as the president of the AAP. I'm so honored to be represented by such a strong woman such as yourself in DSA. So I would like to present you with this certificate of appreciation, which reads, the Development Academy of the Philippines presents this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Michelle S. Alarcon for sharing her time and expertise as resource speaker in the Smarter Philippines Through Data Analytics, R&D Training and Adoption mini conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics, held on the 31st of March, 2022 via Zoom communications, of course, signed by Dr. Alan Escajes, the Vice President and SPARTA Project Lead of the Development Academy of the Philippines. Again, thank you very much. And to introduce our next speaker, may I call on back Attorney Giselle?
Thank you, Ms. Roxy. Let's now proceed to the second topic, which is women and data science and analytics in the public sector. Our speaker fulfills a key role in the formulation and implementation of the Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy, or I3S, which puts innovation at the heart of the country's new industrial policy by leading the Department of Trade and Industries initiatives in preparing industries for the fourth industrial revolution and advancing the digital transformation of MSMEs and large enterprises, establishing regional inclusive innovation centers, or RIICs, developing the country's creative industries, and growing a robust startup ecosystem in the Philippines. She is the Undersecretary for Competitiveness and Innovation of the Department of Trade and Industry, and serves as a member of the Board of Governors of the Philippines Board of Investments, or BOI. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce a truly remarkable woman in government service. Please welcome Dr. Rafaelita Fita Aldaba.
Thank you so much, Ms. Giselle. I would just want to share my screen. Okay. May I share my screen, please? I think I need a permission to share my screen. Okay, there you go. Got it. Hope you can see my screen. Is it visible now?
Yes, Yusek, it's already visible.
Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for the kind introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy Women's Month. It is indeed a great pleasure to be here to share the work that the Department of Trade and Industry, particularly the Competitiveness and Innovation Group, is doing in driving the country's digital transformation and harnessing the digital opportunities to promote women empowerment. We view these new technologies as drivers to achieve an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable industrial development using technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, robotics, advanced manufacturing, Internet of Things, blockchain, biotech, cloud computing. We can create new products or solutions, particularly in smart buildings, advanced manufacturing, precision agriculture, digital health, vehicle technology, resilient technology, and so on. DTI initiatives are geared towards helping our companies shift to industry transformation. We see digital transformation as a journey towards embracing a culture of innovation in all facets of production, consisting of people, technology, and organization. Our most recent initiative is the AI Roadmap, which focuses on uplifting the lives of our people, industries, and the economy. By adopting AI, we can tap vast opportunities to help us maintain the regional and global competitiveness of industries, prepare the future workforce for the jobs of the future, and attract large companies to set up their R&D activities in the Philippines. To accelerate innovation and MSME digitalization, one of the major recommendations of the roadmap is the building of a national center for AI research. The AI Center is going to be a public-private partnership and would serve as hub for data scientists and researchers to perform collaborative AI R&D, provide consultancy services, create AI tech products, conduct data literacy programs, and attract leading global firms to set up their AI R&D activities in the country. Our areas of focus include precision farming, along with smart manufacturing, healthcare services, AI-powered business process outsourcing, smart cities, and resilient technology. In the next slide, I'd like to share with you our startup ecosystem. The Philippine startup ecosystem is composed of a young, energetic, tech-savvy population brimming with potential. We have a vibrant community of highly skilled and innovative individuals. Amid the pandemic, many Filipino startups were able to quickly pivot to new activities, and using new technologies, they provided solutions to help government in addressing pandemic issues. The acceleration of digital transformation paved the way for the growth of digital economy in the Philippines. The country's revenue in the internet economy is estimated at $17 billion in 2021, with revenues projected to reach 25 billion by 2025. The adoption of AI is expected to create revenues amounting to $92 billion, or that's 12% of our GDP by 2030. And amid the pandemic, local fintech startups increased their volume of transactions and raised funding for expansion. We saw our first unicorn fintech company Mint with a value of over $2 billion. PayMongo secured $12 million in a Series A financing round. And there are other notable startups such as fintech company Voyager Innovations, which raised 167 million US dollars. Kumu raised 74 million US dollars, while Philippine Digital Exchange Asset raised almost 13 million US dollars. Given this huge potential for tech startups to grow and the need to create a robust startup ecosystem that would nurture and allow startups to scale up and develop, the DTI has launched incubation and acceleration programs that address specific startup concerns in their growth journey. The startup idea and advanced programs, those that you can see on the slide, are designed to help early stage startups, especially those with women founders, grow towards bringing their products to the market. The Global Acceleration Program, or GAP, aims to expose our startups to startup ecosystems abroad. We also have the Startup Venture Fund. This is being implemented by the DTI together with the National Development Company, with an initial funding of 500 million pesos, and we're implementing this together with venture capitalists and other co-investment partners. Through the iLeap program, we partner with other government agencies and the private sector to provide opportunities and assistance to startups and startup enablers in participating in local and international startup events. And leveraging on our network of traditional businesses, we also implement the Smart Link program to connect traditional MSMEs and large enterprises with startups that can provide digital solutions for their operations. We are also building regional inclusive innovation centers to connect startups with government agencies and the business sector and accelerate the commercialization of their products and services. These innovation centers serve as venues for design thinking workshops, along with networking and engagement with the academe and industry. We are currently supporting 8 regional inclusive innovation centers in the country located in major cities like Cebu, Davao, and Cagayan de Oro. So, in implementing all these programs, we are conscious of the need to support, empower, protect, and provide more opportunities for women. In general, we have relatively high levels of gender equality. According to the Global Gender Gap Index 2021, the Philippines ranked 17th out of 156 countries. The Philippines has closed 80% of the economic participation and opportunity gender gap, with women outnumbering men in senior and leadership roles, as well as in professional and technical professions. Evidence also shows, however, that women lag behind in terms of participation in more advanced types of access to the digital economy, access to skills, entrepreneurship opportunities, and leadership positions. ASEAN women are underrepresented in STEM education, jobs, and career opportunities. Women tend to dominate non-science disciplines like law or social science. Even in ASEAN countries where data on STEM graduates show a high proportion of females, there appears to be a drop-off after graduation, with female graduates not continuing on into related employment. Much remains to be done in terms of supporting women in business. For instance, according to the 2020 Philippine Startup Survey carried out by Pricewaterhouse, only 20% of founders in the Philippine startup ecosystem are females. Furthermore, startups founded by women only received around $5 billion in venture capital funding, while startups with both male and female co-founders received 4 times more at around $20 billion. Moreover, in the data science field, women only account for 15 to 20% of data science professionals globally. Women were affected by the economic impact of COVID-19 more than men. The International Finance Corporation of the World Bank showed that women's success in the Philippines has gone down during the pandemic. The gross merchandise value of women-owned businesses in the Philippines declined to 79% of men-owned firms from 106% pre-pandemic. MasterCard also reported that globally, 54% of those who lost their jobs during the pandemic were women, despite taking up only 39% of overall global employment. Reversing this is key to ensuring the participation of women in the digital economy. The International Finance Corporation notes that women in the region could help e-commerce grow by another 280 billion in Southeast Asia between 2025 and 2030. In Lazada's e-commerce platform, Filipina sellers own 2/3 of the registered businesses, increasing the share of women-owned businesses to 66% on the platform during the pandemic from only 60%. DTI has been offering webinars on e-commerce to help MSMEs transform their businesses digitally, and at the same time, DTI also conducts digital masterclasses through the DTI YouTube channel. DTI also organizes virtual trade fairs through e-commerce to help MSMEs showcase their businesses online and connect them with Shopee and Lazada. Empowering women entrepreneurs and supporting women-owned enterprises is vital for sustainable and inclusive economic recovery and growth, and preventing the digital divide from worsening as we adopt these new technologies. Our startup programs help achieve this by improving access to finance and training and supporting women entrepreneurship. For instance, together with Kubo, we launched Startup Pinay in 2018, and this has since promoted 32 women-founded startups internationally. Our programs are focusing on increasing the participation of women in digital transformation by bridging the gender digital divide and creating more digital opportunities for women across the country. We will be able to empower women. We also need to create an inclusive environment which goes beyond policies and practices. We need to create a culture of conscious inclusion with a change in mindset. To close, I would like to quote from the World Economic Forum: creating the desire, insights, and capacity of people to make decisions and lead with conscious intent of including everyone. Building this culture of conscious inclusion is important to remove the pre-existing biases across gender and income enterprises. Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Happy National Women's Day, everyone.
Happy National Women's Month, USEC. Thank you so much. And just echoing what Attorney Giselle said earlier, I am in awe of your projects and your service to the nation. I agree that you are an outstanding member of society. With that, I would like to present you with this certificate of appreciation, which reads: the Development Academy of the Philippines presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Rafaelita M. Aldaba for sharing her time and expertise as resource speaker in the Smarter Philippines through Data Analytics, R&D, Training and Adoption mini-conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics, held on the 31st of March, 2022 via Zoom communications, and of course signed by Dr. Alan Escajes, the Vice President and SPARTA Project Lead at the Development Academy of the Philippines. So again, thank you very much for today. And to introduce our next speaker for this topic, may I call on back Attorney Giselle.
Thank you. Thank you, Roxy. And of course, thank you, Yusek Pita. Our next speaker will be on the same topic, women and data science and analytics in the public sector. Our next speaker has been with the public sector or government service for several years as a consultant to various development sector projects at the Department of Science and Technology, at the Department of Education, and the Department of Labor and Employment, as well as in various local government units nationwide on training and data management. She has also been in research as a senior research associate with the Education Research Program at the University of the Philippines, a licensed medical technologist, and a professional teacher. She is a career shifter into the world of analytics. After graduating as a scholar from the data science training by the FTW Foundation, she has immersed herself in working with data, constantly upskilling. She participated in an international datathon on disinformation and was a finalist in the second BARM Hackathon Challenge with her research proposal on the use of a gaming app to validate existing data. And currently, she is the Deputy Project Manager of the MOOCs and SGP component of SPARTA. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Donna Pamela Gonzalez.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. First of all, I'd like to say it's an honor to be part of this group of wonderful and inspiring game changers in data science and analytics. Today, as mentioned, I will also be discussing the current state of women in analytics in the public and government sector, but I'll be using a different set of lens. I will be talking about the beauty of data. So, when you talk about beauty and data, you don't really use it in those two terms in one sentence. In fact, data in its raw form can even be considered ugly. You often hear people say, "Ang pangit ng data mo." So how is it related? Next slide. Data is everywhere. Do you agree with me? It is there when you open your social media accounts, your email, your documents, your mobile phones. You check your number of likes, number of shares, number of unanswered emails from your boss, the number of words you need to meet to the 1,000 words that you need to submit, the remaining data load that you have to be able to play ML. So you prepare for work and you have to commute, you look at the traffic situation, you consider your choice of transportation, you calculate, aabot ba ako sa office pag umalis ako na ganitong oras o uwi na lang ako, work from home na lang ulit ako. That's data. That's your data, right? In the different offices and agencies in the government, you're also surrounded by data. Next slide. From the Department of Transportation, you have 327.68 million Filipinos who have used the MRT, LRT, PNR in 2019. There are also 1,473,973 women who have been issued a driver's license also in 2019, which is actually just a third of the number of men issued a driver's license to in that same year. There are 4.4 million unemployed individuals in 2020, according to the Department of Labor and Employment. There are 1,526,667 vehicles on an average day in Metro Manila in 2019, according to the MMDA. 1,182.27 kilometers of converted roads were built from 2010 to 2020. According to the DPWH, 27,232 and 95 is the number of learners enrolled as of November 15, 2021, according to the data of the DepEd, or Department of Education. And as of yesterday, based on the DOH data, we now have reached a total of 3,677,924 cases of COVID-19. Daming data, no? And these are just a few examples of data that are actually present in the different government agencies and offices. And if you have listened into with the talks of others earlier, they have presented a lot of data. Next slide. Data powers policies and decisions. We've seen how data has helped the private sector, especially in marketing, banking, and the like. They look at products, how the people react to the products, then how the people react to the changes to the products, the trends in purchasing, how to lessen the cost, etc., how to optimize the profits. Imagine how powerful that data would be in creating solutions, real and tangible solutions to improve the overall situation of our country. And that is what makes data beautiful. That power it gives you to move forward, think forward, make predictions. If we could only truly appreciate that beauty of data, we would actually fall in love with it. Ang ganda ni data. Looking at the number of births at a certain year shows the number of students after 5 years. After 10 years, the number of college graduates after 18 years, number of classrooms built, number of vaccines needed, number of services that the government needs to provide, number of single parents versus the number of families versus the number of possible housing programs. Ang daming data. Unfortunately, that potential of the data to do a lot of things is not fully understood. In the public sector, there is a tendency to treat data as something to be reached, a target, a measure of performance or deficiency. Pag na-reach yung target, tapos na yung trabaho, that's it. It should not stop there. There's a need to step back and see the bigger picture, to see the patterns, the trends, the interconnectedness of the available data. And that's when solutions come in, sustainable solutions. So let's take a look at the COVID-19 pandemic. When it started here, data on who was sick, where to go, what to do, what places were locked down, it was all over the place. Until people looked at the big picture and actually started putting things together. They explored the patterns, the trends, the surges. Yes, I agree that there were conflicting scenarios. There were different data presented. But you can see how the data was actually utilized. Gumalaw siya, ginamit siya. Example din ng COVID-19 responses was of South Korea. They were able to flatten the epidemic curve quickly without closing businesses or imposing other stricter measures in 2020. What did they do? Their contact tracing efforts were very impressive. They used a variety of data sources, including credit card transactions and CCTV footage, to be able to trace the possible sources of the virus and to limit its spread. Just by using ordinary data, they were able to come up with a viable solution. Imagine if we can do the same, and we actually can. How? By empowering people, by empowering women, especially in the public sector. We can show them the beauty of data, help them appreciate what it can do, and how they can actually release that potential. Why women? Because we are in the position to create change. Because we can. I worked with the public sector on various projects. I'm not at the level of policymakers or decision makers, but I dealt hugely with the data needed for evidence-based decision making. I worked on the ground to gather, clean, and validate data. At first, para lang siyang compliance, but I soon realized the beauty of it. I was empowered by my former lady leaders, my bosses, to take courses in data analytics and use these skills to help the community. We can start with exploring the data, looking at it not just as something that needs to be submitted, but something we can use to improve our processes, to provide better insights, to give more solid basis and evidence of what's happening, so that those who are in power can actually use it to make policies and sound decisions that would improve everyone's lives. And there are different programs that women can take to upskill or to improve their skills, such as the FEW Foundation, as mentioned by Ms. Michelle earlier, which is I am a graduate of also, Escuela Labs, and of course, SPARTA. We offer scholarships on data science and data analytics. Currently, SPARTA actually has uh, 2,676 female scholars who are affiliated with the government sector. That's out of 30, almost 40,000 scholars of SPARTA. And I'm actually really proud to say that I am a scholar and a graduate of FEW Foundation and a SPARTA scholar as well. I'll admit that that's a career shifter at my age. Yes, at my age. And as a single mom of two, it was not easy for me to do Python coding and machine learning. But women can do the impossible. Women have the heart and the passion and also the competencies. Yes, the competencies and skills that men have. I love data. I love exploring it. I find it beautiful. And I am excited to explore the endless possibilities that would make our country great. Next slide. The beauty of data lies in its very essence and expression of truth. It gives us the reality to move forward and inspire change. We are all beautiful. Let's empower each other and make this world a more beautiful place with data. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pam, for sharing the beauty of data and your journey through DSA. So I would like to present you with this certificate of appreciation, which reads, the Development Academy of the Philippines presents the certificate of appreciation to Ms. Donna Pamela D. Gonzalez for sharing her time and expertise as resource speaker in the Smarter Philippines Through Data Analytics R&D Training and Adoption Mini Conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics, held on the 31st of March, 2022 via Zoom Communications, again signed by Dr. Alan S. Cajes, Vice President and SPARTA Project Lead at the Development Academy of the Philippines.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to receive this certificate.
And to introduce our last speaker, may I call on back Attorney Giselle?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Roxy. I share your excitement as we draw nearer to our open forum in a short while after our last speaker. I'd like to encourage those who are joining us on Zoom and on Facebook Live to share your questions for our panelists this afternoon. Our last speaker, but certainly not the least, is an associate professor at the Department of Decision Sciences and Innovation of De La Salle University in Manila, Philippines. She is also the Business Development Manager and a part of the steering committee of the Andrew L. Tan Data Science Institute. She earned her MBA and doctorate degree in business administration, majoring in management information systems from the Catholic University of Korea. She has worked in diverse companies focused on social media and e-business before joining the university. Her research interests cover the utilization of social media as a marketing channel of business organizations and the utilization of public open data for the creation of new products and services to increase transparency and accountability in government. It's my pleasure to introduce to all of you Dr. Ruth Angeli Cruz.
Good afternoon, everyone. I feel like I should have just gone first with my speech. It's an honor to follow the speeches of the powerful women in the Philippines. I would also like to say that I'm also a graduate of Manila Science High School, like Miss Michelle. It's nice to see her here. It's rare that I meet other graduates of Masai aside from my batchmates. So let me share my screen here. So like what Attorney Giselle said, I'm Dr. Ruth Angelique Cruz. And when I was invited to talk here, I asked my colleagues and friends about their experience in data science in the academe or in business. And actually, we all had that there's sexism in the workplace. But that made me question if our reaction is an evidence of inclusion already or it's just an acceptance of the status quo. Like what was mentioned earlier, we're used to having men dominate certain fields. So also my friends and colleagues said it's the thing. It's STEM fields are dominated by men. This leads me to one experience I had as a graduate student when I was invited in Korea to speak to young students. So most of the students in the audience were female, and my speech was about women empowerment. So before I started my speech, I asked them. So there were like 6 students in front, 5 girls, and 1 guy. So I asked them, I have this job opening and I want all of you to tell me who will get the job. So the candidates are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 girls, and then the 1 boy in front. And that's all that I asked them. So I asked them one by one from all the girls. All the girls, all 5 of them said it's the guy who will get the job. I forget if I asked the guy if he thinks he will get the job, but I was surprised why these young women surrendered right away. So I asked them, why didn't you ask me about the job requirements? Why didn't you ask what kind of degree program do I require? Then these were Korean students. So they said, because in the workplace, what they believe in and what they know of is that if they are pitted against a guy, the guy will be chosen despite qualifications. That was really sad for me. So looking back into the Philippine case, I looked into the most recent data that I can find, and a recent study by the Trends in International Mathematics and Science study in 2019 shows that the Philippines scored significantly lower than any other country that participated in grade 4 math and science assessments. That is not surprising, but also parang masyado naman yata na tayong bumaba. So only 19% of Filipino students were on the low benchmark, which means that they had some basic mathematical knowledge, while 81% did not even reach this level. As for science, 13% of Filipino students were also on the low benchmark, which means 87% did not even reach this level. And this data is not even separated by gender. We all know that learning poverty increased during the pandemic. Even if we were already experiencing this even before COVID-19, the pandemic jacked up learning poverty to 90% in the Philippines. And that is very alarming. In 2018, the PSA already reported education deprivation among Filipinos. That among the 13 indicators of educational attainment, consistently had the highest incidence of deprivation among families. That's for 2016 and 2017 at 59.3 and 49.4% respectively. So this means that 6 out of 10 families in 2016 and 5 out of 10 families in 2017 were deprived of basic education. That is 6 out of 10 families had at least one family member aged 18 years old and above who did not complete basic education in 2016 and 5 out of 10 in 2017. So why are we talking about this? It's because before we get to data science, we need to equip our students with the right skills. So in a from the ched.gov.ph website, I found that the top 10 most populated program in terms of enrollment in the years 2016 to 2017 divided between genders. The preferences for males are IT, business administration, criminology, secondary education. Then we have civil engineering here, industrial technology, and marine engineering and technology. Meanwhile, for females, it's business administration, secondary education. We don't have any engineering programs in the top 10 for women. We have IT, we have accountancy, and then we have the others are tourism and travel, psychology, and nursing. So in the Philippines, just 2 in 7 engineering students are female. Only 41% of students taking IT-related courses are women. And women make up only 43% of STEM enrollments, and mostly in non-engineering or non-IT fields, according to statistics from the Commission on Higher Education. This is not saying that only women in STEM can go into data science. I took up advertising management and communication arts in college before I got into information systems. But still, we need an inspiration for our students, confidence that they can get into data science. And with these statistics, it's already difficult, as you can see, to convince women to take up STEM fields. So how much more challenge will we get to convince them to get into data science? The hindrances have been mentioned earlier already. So as an educator, as a professor of students from senior high school to PhD level, how do we build up girls and women to become women in STEM or go into data science? So my suggestions would be to build a community, parents, teachers, together with governments, foundations, and institutions to empower both young girls and women to pursue STEM. I think Project SPARTA is a great effort and opportunity that is given to women to get into data science. And in terms of children, I read, but I can't find the paper, that children are not afraid of numbers. They are afraid of being shamed. And I think this is a very common instructional strategy in the Philippines that we would have to change. We should accept the different learning styles of our students for them to appreciate the different areas, not just STEM, but also arts and languages. And also, lastly, I think Ms. Michelle also mentioned this, it's important to promote female role models, not just in STEM, but in general, to promote women role models. So children, not just young women, but all women will see that I can also do it because she can do it even if she's a mom, she's doing 2 jobs or 3 jobs. Like, there's nothing impossible if we give opportunities. I always say that saying that nothing is impossible is a saying that should what do you call this? The expression, check your privilege, something like that. So everything is possible if opportunities or chances are given to equally to everyone. I hope I am under the impression, or I'm just being optimistic that young girls, that it's no longer the case that young girls are chosen to stay at home and help the family while boys are allowed to study. But I think that's the case for the Philippines before. I don't have data whether it's still the same. Also, another story about my students, but I haven't done an empirical study about this yet, is that female students grade themselves less than their male peers. This is true for my thesis advisees. So I know that they all worked on the paper. They received the best thesis award. They received the gold thesis award already. But then when I see their self and peer evaluation, my female students grade themselves lower. I'm not sure if it's because of their confidence or if women have higher standards. They think they haven't done enough despite them getting the gold award for thesis already. And or women are just more critical of themselves. Whereas for my male students, which are also very smart, they just give themselves 100% for self-evaluation, which they can actually do. Grade yourselves 100 because that's part of your grade, and I can change it for you. If you think you just perform 90%, then that's what I will encode. For women role models in data science, I heard her name. Is she here? Steph is not in the academe. At least I am not aware if Steph is here. Hi, Steph. Steph is the CEO and lead data scientist of Thinking Machine. She helped me actually complete my dissertation about open government data in the Philippines. So she gave me a picture of the situation of open governance, data governance in the Philippines. And I think she is very active in the field of data science. Next, women role models. We have I personally know them as well, Dr. Alva Presbitero and Dr. Erica Legara. They are affiliated with Asian Institute of Management. They've been working abroad before they got invited to go back here and teach and also share their knowledge. They graduated from universities outside the Philippines as well. Next is, like what was mentioned before, I'm also part of the Andrew L. Tan Data Science Institute of the LSU. And we have there Miss Eunice Chua. She is an assistant professor of computer science in the College of Computer Studies. And she serves as the center head for the Center for Complexity and Emerging Technologies. She is very, very passionate if you meet her. She's passionate about data science for smart cities, making data open, and she's very good at thinking about developing civic data-based civic solutions for social problems. So I work with her in the institute. Aside from women role models, I was asked to talk about also contributions. So we also have women-led research at the institute. So Eunice is leading the team with Dr. Samson. It's research on the evaluating evacuation suitability of area in Marikina City. So we all know Marikina is flood prone, and the researchers developed a multi-criteria model to evaluate the suitability of the evacuation centers in the city. So like I said, we try to make use of the data we have to offer solutions that can help other Filipinos. Next, we also have from the PISA data of education in the Philippines, we have Dr. Rochelle Lucas, who is analyzing the data by PISA using machine learning approaches to explore the factors influencing low reading proficiency in English among Filipino learners. So to share the results of our research, the institute does webinar events. So it's open to everyone. Everyone who wants to listen to the results and our policy recommendations regarding these issues is welcome to listen to our webinars. Another interesting research is by Dr. Charles C. and Dr. K. Aviso. It's an optimization model for vaccine allocation. So earlier in the pandemic, we had issues on how are we going to distribute the vaccines across the Philippines because we can't give it to everyone at the onset. So the group presented two webinar events showing how they suggest that we allocate the vaccines that we had at the time. Another one that is studying the co-authorship network of Filipino researchers in deep learning. So this research is aiming to show the current picture of researchers, of academics and scholars in the Philippines in the field of deep learning. So who is currently doing the researches, who is publishing, and they found out that most of the publications and collaborations are concentrated on a handful of institutions like the LSU and UP Diliman. The study also showed that Filipino researchers are mostly doing applied learning projects and rely heavily on undergraduate students to maintain productivity. This is there's a positive and negative to this because in this way we are able to expose our undergraduate students in data science early on, but also we are looking into what takes up the time of our researchers. So this study was published in the Philippine Science Letters. So we also have ongoing projects related to the PISA data on education. So it's in using machine learning to check on the lowest performers or the students being left behind in science and math. So we're hoping that we could give suggestions on how we can solve this gap, this problem on our education, because the children is as cliche as it sounds, the children is our hope for the future. So we should now check on our education system. Lastly, we also do collaborations. This is one collaboration I had with scholars in UK and Korea. As you can see, yes, I'm the only female name there. But opportunities are being opened to women. I work with men who I've never felt like they're looking at me as a babae ka kasi or something like that. I think I'm lucky to have opportunities opened up for me. And while I was studying abroad, I was thinking, I hope this opportunity can be opened up to other Filipinos as well. And going back to my story in Korea, what I told the students when they told me that it's the guy who will get the job, I said, I think Filipinas will have a different answer. Then they asked me why. I said, it's because Filipinas will fight for her space. And to end my talk today, I think we need to make sure that the next generation are even more equipped to take space as women, not just in data science, but in the different parts of the society in general. Because some data will be better explained by women if the matter at hand affects them more than men. So this is very evident in medicine, but that's another story. Thank you very much, and I'll be open to your questions later.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruth, for sharing a very extensive list of role models, opportunities, collaborations, and projects for women in DSA. I would like to present you with the Certificate of Appreciation, which reads the Development Academy of the Philippines presents this Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Ruth Angeli Cruz for sharing her time and expertise as a resource speaker in the Smarter Philippines through Data Analytics R&D Training and Adoption Mini Conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics. So it was held on the 31st of March, 2022 via Zoom, and of course signed by Dr. Alan Escajes, the Vice President and SPARTA Project Lead at the Development Academy of the Philippines. Again, thank you very much, and thank you to our wonderful speakers and Attorney Giselle. At this point, we will take a short break to give our speakers and moderator time to breathe while we all prepare for our panel discussion. So while we take this break, I also invite you to tune in as the Project Sparta team plays an audio-visual presentation. Welcome back, everyone. I would like to call back our speakers, Ms. Michelle Alarcon, Ms. Pamela Gonzalez, and Dr. Ruth Angeli Cruz for our panel discussion to be moderated by Attorney Joselle Batapasige.
All right, so thank you, Roxy. Good afternoon once again to everyone. I hope you've learned so much as I have learned so much from all the speakers this afternoon. I'd like to invite those who have questions to please post it in our Zoom chat, or maybe if you're watching on Facebook, please do so. We have a team of people in Sparta to collate all your questions. All right, so let me see if my panelists are all here. The game changers in the data science and analytics. You have Michelle Alarcon, Pam Gonzalez, and Dr. Ruth Angeli Cruz. Which name do you prefer, Dr. Ruth Angeli? Ruth or Angeli?
Ruth na lang.
Ruth. All right. So, as they say, data is the new oil. But you know, as a creative, I follow David McCandless, which is the visualization data visualization icon, and he believes that data is the new soil. It's a new soil because we can grow a lot of ideas and use cases from data. So I actually have some 3 or 4 questions which I generated just by listening from your discussions and talks this afternoon. But let me just check if we have questions from the audience. All right, so I think our audience, they're still coming up with their questions. Let me check the chat room. All right, so as we wait for our audience, our viewers and participants this afternoon to develop their questions, let me just go straight to my questions. So I'll take this opportunity because I also love data, as Pam here said a while ago. In fact, my one of my recent research is anchored on data visualization. So I noticed in my humble research of things that are happening outside of the Philippines, especially in advanced countries, they have a lot of technology, especially in the public sector space. No? And what they want are use cases. They're actually looking for use cases. I believe in the Philippines, the reverse is happening. We have a lot of use cases, but I think the consolidation of technologies such as data analytics is still on its nascent stage. So I'd like to ask our 3 ladies here, from your own lenses, what do you think are the maybe top, or maybe you can give 2 examples of use cases that's really ideal for the public sector to be able to use data analytics and data science on, if you look at what's happening right now. Sorry if that's a social question. Now, I know this is Women's Month, but you know, we women, we like solving problems. And I believe that the focus of this activity this afternoon is not on the technology. It's about solving problems, right? So that is what we are aiming for. So I'd like to ask, maybe based on your experience on or how you work with government, what do you think are the best use cases for data science in the public sector? Michelle, would you like to start?
Oh, I am the buena mano. Is this according to age? No, I hope not.
According to
uh,
me. Go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you for that question. No, I really wanted to answer that question. So I think it's also good that I start with it para we set the tone. No? When we talk about data science and analytics, it is not technology. That is true. So that's one thing that we would like to impart to everyone who's maybe just starting out their careers in data science and analytics. In fact, how I would answer that question is just like what we do with the private sector, with corporates, with enterprise organizations in the Philippines and even abroad, you start with what your priority is. No, what is the priority for the country to solve? That's how we do it in the private sector. So, for example, if you're a you're a telco and your primary pain point is really that you're losing customers because of, there's now a lot of players, they're not satisfied with your service, or and so on and so forth, then that becomes a business priority. Then what is that equivalent for the Philippines? Is it just let's assume that there's a big assumption that there's no issue right now with safety and all that, but is it traffic? Is it forever perpetually trying to find a solution to poverty alleviation, for example? Is it that? Is it having more, let's say, women leaders and their impact to the country? Di ba? Ang dami. So how do you pick? So just like with any implementation for analytics, even outside of the context of our countrywide problems, we try to define that first, because then you will be more open to possible solutions, innovative solutions, and people can different data scientists, for example, will have different interpretations to that problem, and therefore can come up with different types of solutions. So mas maganda yon, di ba? Kesa we're just limited to just one, and then we will see, ito lang yung tools namin eh. Ay, ito lang yung data namin eh, right? So you start first with defining that problem, and for me, those interesting use cases for the Philippines right now, because we are trying to return to normal, as we say, we can go for those that are have proven themselves to be na iba, no, masyadong malaki yung impact when we underwent this disruption due to the pandemic. So that's particularly for me, everything that's related to education, solving problems, because that is our long-term bet, right? Young future workforce natin. If we don't take care of, or we don't try to find innovative solutions to the younger generation, and having the still the best quality education for them, regardless of what situation we are under, we all lose, right? And so that's one. And then I would also look for use cases that are everything that's related to healthcare. We already have, we were all counting on, PhilHealth and other, maybe related healthcare services. But then we have to innovate and catch up also with the neighboring countries, at least on how they are maybe coming up with digital solutions and analytical solutions to looking after the health of everyone, and that goes beyond just coming up with a national ID and making sure that everyone is covered. So how do you actually execute those? Pero marami pa po. And then I'll leave it up to my fellow women leaders here.
Right. Thank you, Michelle. No, so education, healthcare. I hope there are people in the public sector who's with us right now, listening to all these use cases that data science and analytics can play a big part to solve. No, so this is by the order of how you spoke earlier. So I'll go to Pam. How about you, Pam?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I agree with what Michelle said earlier, and to give more concrete in terms of education, you can look at the dropouts, especially this pandemic. There are a lot of dropouts. What happened? Why did they drop out from school? And you could see what do they have? What do they have in school? Do they have connectivity? These you can actually the data that they can gather from that, they can merge, they can connect and make and decide that, okay, we will do this for these students who have dropped out, or we can do that for those who are still in school. Another example is actually knowing where the graduates of the senior high school went. Did the premise of being able to work after senior high school, was it done? Nagawa ba siya? Or hindi pa rin siya aligned with labor and employment? They won't even hire. They don't hire people who are graduates with senior high school. So there are a lot of data that they can gather, even actually books, modules. What flexible learning options can they give from the data that they gather? So to answer your question, yes, there are a lot of use cases, and from the top of my head, those are the ones that I think are relevant, especially at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, defining the problem, as Michelle said, knowing the problem, why it came about, very important. Ruth, what do you think is a good use case at the
One
moment?
example, I think from the Philippines, I forgot the name of the data scientist based in Singapore, but I interviewed him before. He was one of the first ones who investigated a dengue outbreak in one of our provinces here. So he has a company based in Singapore, and a lot of the families of his employees, because his employees are also Filipinos, have been reporting that um, their family is contracting dengue. So he was wondering, okay, where is the virus coming from? So what he did was he requested data from the government. He had to go through several hoops to request the numbers, the location, and then when they analyzed it, they find most of the those who are sick are young kids. So and then they found that the kids they live in different places, but then they go to school in one area. And then after that investigation, they found that few schools have stagnant water around them, and that's how they found the solution to the problem. So later on, I think the government helped in addressing and solving the stagnant water around the public schools. So going back to the current situation, when I talked to my team at the Data Science Institute, I said that that's also very useful. That idea is very useful. Recently, we had polio come back. We resurrected polio in the Philippines. I said if we only had data from the hospitals, if this data is shared, then we can match how far the polio virus has traveled, because it traveled in Pasig River, if I remember correctly. So that's one use of data. And second is, aside from the big problems like pandemic and education, one simple application that I see, I have experienced personally in Korea, is how convenient it is when the government offers open data, because South Korea opens API. So it's not PDF, it's not Excel, but it's downloadable, ready to use data. That if you've traveled to Korea, you know that the subway is on time. You know you can check, and then the bus. So those data is offered to the public, and they can also use it however they want, make their own apps. So redundancy is okay. And also for the tourist, I think we have a lot of tourist spots in the Philippines, and it would be helpful if we have apps that will tell people how to go here, how far it is from the subway station. So those are the big examples and small use cases that I think will make our lives so much easier if we have them.
Right, right. I'm given a set of questions related to Women's Month, but all the things you said, poverty, education, healthcare, they're all topics close to women's hearts. No, so this is the women's theme of our data experts here in our panel. I'll give way to a question here on our Zoom box or Zoom chat. What do you believe are simple yet effective ways to encourage the younger generation to consider studying data science and analytics? That's from Ron Luis Salomon. Let's start this time with Pam.
Okay, so that was a good question. I think the best way to get them interested is to immerse themselves into data science, and not show them that there is it's something to be scared of, but more of something to be enjoyed. I'd like to share one thing with when a colleague of mine, actually, I was working with volunteering with an office, and I was the one in charge of the Excel because data, and they were all like, I will teach you Excel. No, I don't want to. All my group mates, my colleagues weren't really keen on wanting to study Excel. I was just surprised at one time after the volunteer program stopped. She messaged me out of the blue and said, "Do you have time to teach me Excel?" So the immersion, even if she didn't want to learn Excel at that time, but they were exposed to it because they had to use the sheets, they had to look at the sheets in their work. She got interested in learning Excel, and she wanted me to teach her. Um, so to answer your question, immerse themselves in that data science, not just Excel, but what it is, what it can do for them. And I think that's the best way to encourage them into taking up data science.
Right, right. And of course, look for inspiring role models like Pam here. You said she was encouraged by you, no? Ruth, how about you? Any tricks to encourage young people?
What I do with my senior high school students, because I teach research methods, and I already asked them their impression about research. Don't be shy. I know you think it's boring. So they admit that they already think, because when they look at academic journals, it's intimidating. They said, Miss, it looks difficult. We don't understand the statistics. So I explained to them, you don't have to understand everything all at once. So when you read academic journals, you can look at the problem and the result. And how I actually try to engage them is when I teach research. And of course,
Mhm.
I have to show them the boring academic journals that they need to read. But I choose papers with topics that are close to them, or something they can relate to. Usually, I use papers in technology,
Mhm.
papers published in Instagram, papers about images.
Right.
I tell them, look for a paper, even if it's about TikTok, because there are now papers about TikTok. So now they changed their mind, saying that the paper became interesting to them because they can understand. So we
Right.
have to we aside from teaching the young generation, we also have to know their language for them
Right.
to be engaged. It's because their generation will have a different trend. So let's teach them how to understand those trends that concern them today.
Right, right. Now, I hope there are a couple of teachers in our Zoom. Those were really good tips. Michelle, would you
Yeah,
like
just
to
a
pick?
quick one. So, and this is, no, I would like to say this is a fact. No, this is the truth. I have
Mhm.
two boys, both senior high school, and taking up, about to take up college. And then they said, one says I want to be a data scientist, and the other one says I want to be a statistician. Without mom's influence, to be to be clear, not forcing. But I mean, that's something that they're seriously considering, because they find practical research, just like what Ruth is teaching, no, the senior high school. I think we have teachers and faculty in general who are now more open to having more creative ways of teaching, especially that we are in a virtual classroom setup. It allows you to use and take advantage of all these digital tools like a Kahoot, Mentimeter, and maybe some other things that are more, relatable for kids. Also, if you've seen the video games that they play with right now, there's just so high tech, and they just use a lot of statistics in it, and that's like a game speak lang sa kanila when you talk about metrics and KPIs and how things are computed, like average something something. That's easy for them to digest. So finding, I guess, the very interesting topics to and just be able to relate that to the concepts, and not forget that these are not black boxes when we introduce data science and analytics to them. Rather, explain that there's statistics behind that, there's computer science behind that, and all that. So yun lang. I find it also very relevant. Maybe if I can just also promote what we're doing with
Yes.
DepEd, no, the Department of Education, through the AAP then partnership natin. We are crafting that curriculum for associate in data engineering. So very related to data science career paths natin, and also starting to work with the TESDA to introduce these types of skill sets. No, even if hindi tayo makapag-college, we have data entry level na mga careers that we can explore.
All right. Thank you. No, so interesting topics, and know their language. I hope you got all those insights. I think our questions are now coming in. I think I already have about 10 of them in my list right here. I hope we have enough time, but let me just go over some of these questions. Maybe we can do fast talk. Some of the questions are just answerable by yes and no. Is age an issue for mid-career women who would like to shift to data science career? Age. Michelle?
Oh, no.
No. Pam?
No, definitely
No.
no.
Ruth?
No.
Definitely no. No. All right. So it's not an issue. And let's not talk about age. Okay, let's go. So here's another question. What steps should one take if we want to pursue a career shift into data science? And would not having a degree be a hindrance in entering this career path? I am currently learning SQL from a relative and I find it very rewarding when I find solution for a query. So I have hopes that I can learn this trade someday. However, I'm not exactly sure how to achieve it. All right. Anyone? Ruth?
I think anything is possible if you're just very motivated to learn. There are a lot of websites that already offer free courses.
Right.
YouTube is a good place to learn about statistics. And also, I've met a lot of people working in data science that doesn't have a degree related to data science. One person I met finished occupational therapy as his undergraduate degree and is now working in the field of data science. So it's really just a matter of how motivated you are and how interested you are in the topics.
Okay. Michelle?
Yeah, just what I mentioned, no, working with the Department of Education to introduce these data science related courses, so that you have an option after senior high school. You can start your career path in the data industry. Also with TESDA. And then we are piloting this program together with PTech and University of Makati, for example, when we're introducing in the curriculum yung mga analytics content na natin, no, as early as that. So grade 11, grade 12. So stay tuned lang po. And then, of course, through Project Sparta, you'll hear more about these types of programs because we're partners naman din, no? So we'll also communicate and share these messages and updates with you guys.
Right. Pam?
Yes, just to quickly add, I am a career shifter in a in a very different field. Explore the networks. Facebook actually has a lot of groups, communities in terms of data science. You can find a niche in terms of work. I'm actually a member of several groups, and they share their knowledge, they share their connections, they share tips where to study, what to study, and I think you just need to understand what they're saying, and immerse yourself in the communities, and that's it.
Right. Thank you. No, so basically, just to emphasize, be in the loop. I learned about Sparta during its launching, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I've never since, stopped trying to stalk the things that Sparta is doing. So I'm here right now. All right. So here's a question: how can we best communicate the value of ethics and relate best use of data science in the grassroots level? Value of ethics. Michelle, you like to answer?
Yeah, that's a really very good question, and I find it interesting that it comes up in this kind of venue. No, it's not unique to women, this kind of issue or this kind of question, but maybe it is a good sign that people are starting to become more aware about the applications of ethics also in data and AI. So na-raise yung issues and concerns na yan when people started talking about the social network, Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, and all these things. And then we also see that in use cases for AI, like ethics should be something that we need to include in the curriculum. And I believe in Project Sparta, that's also something that we have incorporated as well. So in the AEP, we are building an ethical framework for all data practitioners. So watch out for that. We hope to achieve that this year. But why it is important, and maybe to stress the value of that, is because I just want to echo, my colleague at the board, no, at the APC, si Doc Lee Gotts. What he always says is that um, social problems are data problems. That makes it, ethics at the centerpiece. No, it's everything it evolves around us. It's around
Right.
society. So it's not just about technology, and you feel that it's unethical to just implement, all these new and cool technologies just because we can. But it's a matter of, there's still that human intervention, and that is the ethical part that needs to be always in check when doing these implementations.
Right.
Please do stick around for the ethics meetup that we are planning. Ipakibantay na lang po through Project Sparta. Will be able to also share our announcements there. Pero maganda po kasing topic yan, yung ethics. So thank you for bringing that up. At the grassroots level, makikita nyo rin po how we will be advocating for each data practitioner, and part of the curriculum, even yung ating beginners, data science introductions, ethics is going to be there.
Right. Now, and this discussion on ethics, this is incorporated in the SPARTA course offerings, right? All right. Okay, I'm gonna ask Ruth a different question to maximize time. No? What's the future of data science in research and development in the Philippines? This is from our audience. No? Are we near on its application to sciences, biological, or marine sciences? Ruth?
We're already applying it, maybe not in the very high level, but we have already started appreciation of data. I think one of the trainings that is very much needed in our institution is how to collect and store data, because the data scientists will not have anything to use if data is not available, and it takes so much time. We can't be very proactive. We can't um, stop, for example, diseases if we will just be collecting data when we need them. So I think at the low level, we have already started an appreciation for it, but we're still far from in terms of having a very intricate web of data and data science use. But there's always a place to start. So we're very excited on how it's developing.
Right, right. Okay, so there's a comment here, more of a question and a comment. I'm not fond of data, however, I see its importance. I would just like to ask you as experts how you will motivate an individual like me to utilize data to my career, or even or even a community project. Just a motivation, please. Now, I think all the answers are already very motivating. No? So please listen to the answers. All right, let's go to the next question. Any suggestions of the possible degree course leading to career path of data scientist and data analytics aside from Bachelor of Science in Data Science? Anong school po merong offering such course in the Philippines? And let me just go back to a question I already saw earlier on. I heard the scholarships provided by FTW Foundation are limited. Would you know of any similar programs for women with that sort of training? Sino yung FTW kanina? Pam?
Kami po ni Pam. Hi, Pam. Si
Alright.
Pam
Okay,
ay
Pam
isang
at
scholar.
Mabel.
Oo. I'll answer that, no? Kasi first, the use of the term limited, that's in terms of number of slots, because it's a scholarship. It's not, like everyone can have it. We normally have, di ba, Pam, more than 1,000 applicants, and we only select 30. Right? So ganun po ka-espesyal yung scholarship na binibigay po natin. And this is all free, and this is taught by industry practitioners. So I'm the head of learning, and we have a pool of industry practitioners who will be your capstone mentors and your teachers and all that. Having said that, you're right po, no? Meron po pong ibang mga programa, learning programs that are not necessarily with a HEIs, no? So meron din pong not necessarily master's programs that you have to take it. There's also online courses that are free through Coursera, but everything that you want to find could be in a short course, could be a specialization. marami na pong nag-offer. So Esqua Labs, for example, was mentioned earlier by Ruth. So they also cater to specific profiles. So sasabihin mo lang kung ano yung gusto mong courses na i-take. So they can have it for beginners. They have it for specific to AI curriculum. We also have a lot of training providers that have started to offer even just data visualization only or certain components. And the UP School of Statistics also offers Masters in Data Science, but purely, let's say, to augment your statistical knowledge. So, iba-iba po yung depende din yun sa babagayan ng current profiles natin. In fact, if you're hesitating yet because you feel that you are not STEM and so on and so forth, and then you don't want to take a bachelor's degree in data science right away, you can always start with a science-based or research-based degree. In fact, at FTW, Pam, if you can share also, di ba, may mga non-STEM din tayo, mga non-STEM majors. We even had an arts major, a history major, and we all have our special skills that we will be using for data science application.
All right. So maybe Pam can answer the other question. What course could possibly be ideal to jump to data science in college?
Any course. Any course. As long as you want it, as long as you're interested in doing it, then your course in college or whatever you're taking right now will not be a hindrance to if you want to study data science.
All right. So those questions were from Marge Labides and Romel Sario. No, sorry, I failed to acknowledge you earlier. I didn't see the other column. All right, so here's a question for anyone who wish to pitch in. How can we further maximize the use of data science and analytics in mainstreaming gender equality? So that's aligned with our theme, National Women's Month. Last day today, but make every day Women's Month, please. All right, anyone? Ruth?
Top of mind answer, I think we should stop what do you call this, teaching boys and girls that this is for them and this is for them. I think it starts very young, wherein we tell young girls that they should just be well behaved, they shouldn't ask any questions. I think that is asking questions is very important in data science, because in data science we have to be able to analyze the data and ask relevant questions. So to promote gender equality, we should start young in training our young girls and boys that different fields will benefit from both having male and females in both areas, because related to also the degree programs, because we have degree programs that are mostly women. So I studied liberal arts and commerce in college. So in liberal arts, 5 lang po ata yung boys namin, or 4. But also the question for me when they see my degree in college is, how did you get into information systems and data science if your degree is communication arts and advertising management? I think because it's actually started with e-commerce. I was very interested in social media. It just stemmed from there. So I think we should just, both young boys and girls, let them be interested in whatever piques their interest.
Right. Okay. So we're actually asked to wind up in 5 minutes. So I'll jump to another question, which is also similar. Miss Namire Dakudao here asks, I'm only a third year studying electrical engineering and is really interested with data science. I just want to get an overview, if you could rate the difficulty of data science for beginners like me. Like 1 to 5. 1 daw yung easiest and 5 the most difficult. How difficult? Maybe
Pam, ikaw yan.
Maybe let's compare it to electrical engineering. All right. So this may be a very general question. Okay. Anyone?
I can go first. My background is still in sciences, but in the medical sciences. So I think the hardest part for me in terms of data science was the coding. given my age as well. Ang hirap mag-memorize.
Oo.
But given that she has a course in electrical engineering, parang easier for her. She has already that background in engineering. Eh. There are different subjects in engineering as compared to medical sciences and even liberal arts. And just to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Michelle, data science isn't just limited to coding. It's a whole wide universe of
Yeah.
data analytics. And so to answer your question, 1 to 5, coding wise, it's a 3 or 4, but data science 1 and 2.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that very general question, which now allows me to ask my second question earlier. Isa pa lang yung natanong ko from my end. Just to segue from what you said, data, big data, the whole study of data, it's a whole new world with so many components. In so far as subsectors are concerned, like in my case, I'm more interested in data visualization because I'm in the creative side. But if you look at data from use to collection to storage to publishing to reuse, which do you think we need more to improve on in the Philippines in the different parts of knowledge of data? I don't know if I'm making sense, but which part? Like, for example, would you like to have more data stewards, data analysts, data visualization? Ruth, you're raising your hand. I hope this is not a difficult question, but I'm
My
interested.
answer to this is very much related to when I did my dissertation. I think one of the things that the country should focus on is how we collect and store the data, because based on my interview with Steph and other data analysts and scientists before, it's difficult to get data in the Philippines. They will have to they some of them resorted to actually interpreting data from a video because there's no API from the MRT, for example. So once we have very good data infrastructure, I think it will just boom. That there will be more developers. We will have more apps. So from my perspective, really need better data infrastructure.
Right. And this requires a different set of professionals, right, for data infrastructure, which is related still to our advocacy for data. Michelle, what do you think?
I'll have a different answer to that. That's very important. No? Data collectors, data stewards, in fact, data stewards then, di ba? But for a country, at least very recently, that is still not very appreciative of the discipline of taking surveys, for example. Yan,
Right.
hot na topic yan, right? Hindi nga natin naiintindihan kung anong ibig sabihin ng sinasabi ng survey, right? Paano pa yung pag-collect and pag-process properly per the strict discipline of statistics. And if you think about coming from that perspective, then that is and taking a step back, ibig sabihin data in its rawest form is not even a trivial thing for all of us, for the Filipinos. So
Right.
there has to be data literacy first, or parang ano ba yung data? Parang akala nila yung naka-print ba yan ay pwede ko nang i-process yan just because I have data, right? So I think it's also very crucial how we work with the education system in introducing what data is. Siguro going back to, at least in my generation, we were taught what systems are, what information systems are, pero hindi yung what data is. In fact, the information systems are there to automate the process, and data is just an afterthought. So right now, we have to be teaching data at the forefront, and the systems are the ones that capture it, collect it, and then there's that whole body of analyzing it and so forth. So I think we need to have that appreciation.
All right. Okay. It all connects, no? So finally, Pam, quickly lang, we're told to wrap up already. Go ahead.
I don't have anything to add. They already said everything in terms of what it's needed. For me, I agree that there's a need actually to understand how to collect the data. What data? You see data given to you as in PDF with imagine one PDF with all the Excel numbers there. You need a magnifying glass to see, something like that. So understanding how to collect it, understanding how to process it, and understanding what to do with it is actually what my answer to your question is in terms of what the Philippines needs right now.
All right, all right. Okay, so for my last question, I'd like you all to answer with one word, because we only have 1 minute left. How do we make the Philippines embrace a data-driven public sector? Because that is a key element in all this discussion. First, we have to push for our government to become data-driven. One word. Michelle, I know it's hard because it's one word.
No, it's easy for me. That word is AAP. That's what we're set out to do, to build an ecosystem for a data-driven country. So I hope you join us.
AAP, great. Pam, go ahead.
That's 3 words. No, I'm just kidding. Empower, I think, is my term. Empower everyone to understand data.
All right, empower. And Ruth?
Me, it's educate. So let's start from the beginning. So everyone, for example, everyone in the government will understand data. So when they do the policies, they understand what they're doing.
All right, thank you very much. So with that, I thank all our resource speakers, Michelle, Pam, and Ruth. Your mission, your task has just begun. You need to work. You have a lot more to do. We all have a lot more to do, especially as women, because these issues are very close to our heart. We are problem solvers as women. We want to solve our present situation. And I think the discussion today zeroed in on the importance of data in order to find solutions for these issues. I'm your host, Attorney Giselle Batapasike, and I also love data. Happy National Women's Month. Back to you, Roxy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that very insightful panel discussion. And I hope all our viewers learned a lot from our panelists. Thank you to all our speakers and of course to our moderator. As with our speakers, I would like to present this certificate of appreciation to our moderator. The Development Academy of the Philippines presents this certificate of appreciation to Attorney Giselle Bata Pasige for sharing her time and expertise as moderator in the Smarter Philippines through Data Analytics, R&D Training and Adoption SPARTA Mini Conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women Through Data Science and Analytics, held on this day, the 31st of March, 2022, again signed by Dr. Alan S. Gajes. So we now come to the last part of our event. To give us our closing remarks, may I please call on the Chief Science Research Specialist of the Human Resources and Institutional Development Division of the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development, Dr. Ruby Raterta.
Thank you, Roxy. Good afternoon to all our guests and participants, and my warm greetings to everyone who has joined us in today's celebration of the National Women's Month 2022. We sincerely thank the Development Academy of the Philippines in conducting this activity, as well as inviting us over for this mini conference entitled Game Changers in Data Science Analytics. Well, this event is a recognition of 2 crucial themes, which namely are women empowerment and data science and analytics. Particularly, we highlight the women who are engaged in the field of data science analytics and have contributed greatly towards improving the data science analytics ecosystem of the country. Well, in this activity, I'm sure everyone have learned so much from the presentations made by our guest speakers. In fact, the discussions are really very interesting while I'm hearing those discussions a while ago. There are still areas for intervention to fully address gender inequalities This is one of the opportunities and growth through data science analytics in the fields of academe, industry, and government. Unlike the engineering fields that predominantly attract men, this field of data science offers a cultivating area for developing the skills necessary for women, not only to practice their profession effectively, but also to become sought after data analysts. The data analytics is a growing field for effective and data-driven decision making for organizations. And thus, the SPARTA program was funded by DOST to augment the country's capacity and boost our industry in this area. As a showcase of learnings made through the SPARTA training, we also offer a new program titled Good Governance Through Data Science and Decision Support System, or otherwise known as GADES. It supports capstone projects to promote smart. In 2022, we already funded at least 11 capstone GADES program. Most of the projects were centered on traffic, garbage, waste collection systems, tariff collection, national park e-governance systems, and smart tourism systems. Yet, we are open to all forms of research that utilizes historical data sources to develop new solutions under the IEET sector of Fisher. Well, PSHERD unites in celebration of the Women's Month and recognizes the need to improve gender and development in the country. So data, being the new oil in our modern society, will be key towards identifying and bridging the present gender gap in our country. PSHERD is committed to fund projects, programs, activities, especially the capability building programs on data science and analytics, taking into consideration the gender balance of men and women working on this area or sector. And indeed, data science and analytics is a game changer in our society, but what truly changes the game is how women are actively participating in decision-making processes backed by data and analytics tools. So let's all remember God's tagline on making change work for women through data science and analytics. And once again, thank you for the attendance of all our guests and participants today. Back to you, Roxy.
Thank you, Dr. Roterta. You have been such a huge pillar of support for Project Sparta, and for that, we are very grateful. So before we end the program, may I call the speakers and our moderator to turn on your videos so we can take a photo? And while that's happening, RV, could you please take a photo of the speakers on your cue?
Okay po. I think we have to wait for a few seconds. Ayan po. Some are still opening their cameras. Okay, I think we are all ready. So let's give our best smiles. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, so before we end the program, I would like to ask everyone to fill out the feedback form flashed on your screen. The link is in the Zoom's chat box and in the comment section in the Facebook live stream. Just as a reminder, the feedback form will only be open for 1 hour, and only those who fill out the form will receive a certificate for today's event. So now, may I ask everyone to switch on your cameras for a quick photo session? Again, RV, if you could just count everyone in.
Okay, for the first page, let's give our best smiles. On my cue, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, on the next page. One, two, three, smile. Okay, let's proceed to the third page. 1, 2, 3, smile. And for our last page, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arvi. And again, thank you to all our speakers and to those who joined us in Zoom and Facebook and YouTube live stream. Thank you to our partners from the DOST Assured, Course Bank, AAP, and our guests and audience. Lastly, the Project Sparta team who helped make this event possible. I hope you can all join us for our future events. Once again, I'm Roxy Makasat. Thank you, everyone. This has been the Sparta Mini Conference, Game Changers in Data Science and Analytics, with the theme Making Change Work for Women through Data Science and Analytics.
Recording stopped.